What if the part of you you've been taught to fear is the very part that can set you free? From the moment you were born, the world started carving you in half. Be nice, be good, smile. They never said, be whole. But inside you, there's something you've been told to silence, something that doesn't fit the polished mask. It's your anger, your jealousy, your desires, your darkness. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the hidden side of the self. And for most people, it's a prison. But here's the truth no one dares to say. The shadow is not your enemy. The shadow is your power waiting to be reclaimed. They want you ashamed of it, because if you fear your own nature, you'll never trust your own truth. And that's exactly the point. Carl Jung was a man who stared into the abyss and wrote down what he saw. He believed that within each of us lives another self, not evil, not broken, just hidden, pushed away by shame, buried beneath masks. This part is the shadow. Jung saw the psyche as more than just thoughts and behaviors. He saw it as a deep spiritual reality, one that includes our light and our dark. The shadow forms every time you say, "That's not me." Every time you repress your anger to be liked, every time you hide your desire to be accepted. But repression isn't deletion, it's exile, and what is exiled does not vanish. It waits, it festers, it grows. Jung didn't say to destroy the shadow. He said to face it, to integrate it, to become whole again. Because the more you deny it, the more control it has over you, and the moment you turn toward it, everything changes. From the beginning, you were conditioned to behave, to sit still, to speak softly, to obey, and every wild part of you, your rage, your fire, your hunger, was called dangerous, or worse, shameful. The world taught you that being accepted was more important than being real. So you split yourself. You showed the light, you hid the dark. But here's the hidden design. If they can make you ashamed of your own nature, they don't have to control you. You'll do it for them. Schools teach compliance. Religions promise reward for obedience. Corporations reward those who suppress emotion and just perform. They say, be positive, be grateful. Even when you're breaking inside, you're in a fire that got called too much. Your ambition, selfish. Your truth, inappropriate. You were taught to amputate parts of your soul just to fit in. But the real tragedy, the parts you buried weren't your flaws. They were your fuel, and when the wild self is caged for too long, it doesn't disappear, it waits to break free. Let this sink in. The shadow is not where your demons live. It's where your denied brilliance hides, your rage. It's a signal that something sacred has been violated. Your lust, it's the yearning for deeper connection. Your fear, it's a guardian standing between you and transformation. The shadow isn't ugly, it's untamed. It holds your creativity, your courage, your clarity. Everything you repress contains energy, and the more energy you lock away, the more lifeless you feel. Jung knew this. He knew that the path to enlightenment wasn't upward, it was inward, into the places you fear, into the parts you disown, into the very things you've been told to hide. Mystics across time knew this too. The Taoists spoke of yin and yang, not good and bad, but balance. The alchemists turned lead into gold, not just metals but selves. The Kabbalists believed the shattered pieces of divine light were scattered inside us, waiting to be reclaimed. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. And you can't be whole while rejecting half of who you are, that thing inside you, the part you're ashamed of. It isn't the problem, it's the portal. Walk through it, and you'll meet the part of you that cannot be controlled. When you suppress the shadow, it doesn't vanish, it leaks. In sudden outbursts, in toxic relationships, in addiction, projection, and sabotage. You say you're fine, but you're not. You smile while your soul screams, because the more you push it down, the more it takes control. Ever notice how good people can snap in cruelty? Or how spiritual leaders fall from grace? That's not failure, that's the shadows breaking through the cracks. And the more righteous you pretend to be, the more dangerous your darkness becomes. We all have a shadow. But what matters is this: do you know yours? Or is it ruling you from the dark? Jung said the shadow becomes most dangerous when it is unconscious, because then it takes over, not with horns and fire, but with self-deception, with the illusion of virtue, with hidden rage masked as politeness. Don't let your shadow possess you. Confront it, or it will confront you when you least expect it. So how do you meet the part of yourself you've been running from? First, you stop running, you sit, you listen, you feel, not with judgment, with curiosity. Your dreams whisper clues, your triggers hold mirrors. Your body remembers what your mind forgot. Jung used active imagination, speaking with images in his mind. He wrote the Red Book by diving into his unconscious and letting it speak. You can start with a question. What part of me am I afraid to look at? Then wait. The answer won't come from the intellect. It will rise from the gut, from the soul. And when it does, don't flinch. The shadow isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to be seen. This is not therapy, this is initiation, and it's not easy. But on the other side of the fear is power, peace, presence. When you stop hiding, you start living. Do you know what terrifies the world? A person who is not ashamed of themselves, because someone who has faced their shadow can no longer be manipulated by shame. They don't need your approval. They don't obey out of fear. They cannot be bought with comfort or silenced with guilt. This person becomes a mirror, a disruption, a threat to the status quo. Because they walk through the world unmasked, they are wild, unpredictable, whole. This is what Jung meant by individuation, becoming your true self, not the self society built for you. And once you've tasted that freedom, you can never go back. Here's the final paradox. The deeper you go into the dark, the brighter your light becomes, because the light that avoids darkness is fragile, but the light that survives it, that light is unbreakable. Think of the phoenix, born in fire, the lotus, rooted in mud. Think of the mystics who found God not in temples, but in wilderness, in storms, in despair. You are not here to be good. You are here to be whole, and that means honoring both your wisdom and your wounds, both your halo and your hunger, because in the great dance of being, it's not light or dark, it's both. And when you finally accept that, you stop seeking perfection and start living in truth. So here's the invitation. Stop apologizing for your shadow, that rage, that desire, that grief. It's not a flaw, it's a compass. Every part of you belongs, and the only thing truly dangerous is the lie that says otherwise. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." You've been carrying this shadow your whole life. Now it's time to turn and face it, not with fear, but with reverence, because your shadow is not your curse, it's your teacher, your mirror, your hidden strength. They want you ashamed of it. Don't be. You've been told to be good, to stay calm, to act nice, to silence the rage. Swallow the jealousy. Ignore the dark thoughts. But here's the truth no one told you. The parts of yourself you've buried, the raw, wild, untamed emotions, those aren't flaws, they're keys. You were never broken. You were just taught to be ashamed of your shadow. Carl Jung once said, "The shadow is everything about ourselves we refuse to see, and the world taught you not to see it." Why? Because a person who doesn't know their power is easier to control, but your shadow is not your enemy. It's the part of you that holds your unclaimed strength. It's the fire you weren't allowed to touch, the voice you were told to silence, the truth you were never supposed to speak. This isn't just about psychology, it's about freedom. Because until you face your shadow, someone else will keep using it against you. And so, this isn't a video, it's a reckoning, a mirror, a map back to yourself. Let's begin. How you were trained to hide yourself when you were a child. You didn't know shame, you just were. You cried when you were hurt. You shouted when you were angry. You asked for what you needed, and then something changed. Someone told you that your anger was too much, that your curiosity was rude, that your dreams were unrealistic. And slowly, piece by piece, you started locking parts of yourself away. Not because they were wrong, but because they weren't accepted. This is how the shadow is born, not in evil, but in exile. Carl Jung understood this. He saw that we create our ego, our public self, by rejecting what doesn't fit the image we think others will love. But the rest doesn't disappear. It just gets pushed into the dark. The parts you disown don't vanish. They wait. And the more you hide them, the stronger they become. This is why people who seem perfect often explode in private. Why kind people sometimes carry secret rage. Because no one escapes the shadow. They just pretend it's not there. But the shadow isn't trying to hurt.